of stuff and things here at the Pinball Hall of Fame.
So this is Tim Arnold, the Pinball Hall of Fame. When did you buy your first pinball machine and what was it?
1972, a Gottlieb's Mayfair. Got it from the guy at the pizza parlor for $165.
And you put that in your house, or what did you do with it?
Put it in the garage. Neighborhood kids came over and put dimes in it. So it earned its money back fairly quickly.
How old were you when you picked up your first game? Roughly.
16? Yeah, 16. So it was like, yeah, I liked playing pinball a lot. I had to own my own, so that's what I did.
And when did you officially operate your first pinball machine?
Did you need help?
Yeah, I right here, and it got stuck, so there's like 3 balls that I have like in there that it won't.
We'll go get it. I'll go get it real quick.
At first I thought it was like testing my strength, and I was like, no, it's not.
Testing your strength.
Yeah, and then I saw these 3 balls, and I let it out.
Where did they go? There they are.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So Rad is when and where did you operate your first pinball machine?
It was pretty much the first game I got. Like I said, I put it in the garage, and then I used the money from that one to buy the second one. This is like a lot of pinheads do, is they finance their collection. So that's basically what I was doing, and then I started putting them in frat houses and gas stations and stuff. And then one of the early Domino's pizzas, while I was still in high school, I managed to convince the guy that owned it to put in 15 pinballs in a little back room. So all the other kids were getting up early in the morning and slogging through the snow to do their paper route. And I'd just go bombing around collecting all my street whores, getting money. It was like really swell. Then I did 2 years of college, got sick of it, decided to open an arcade, and never looked back.
And where was this?
This is in East Lansing, Michigan. College town, Michigan State.
Never looking back means at one point, how many pins did you have in that arcade?
When I left in 1990, we started the arcade in 76, the first one. When I left in 1990, there was 7 in Ann Arbor and East Lansing. And now they're back down to 2, one in East Lansing, one in Ann Arbor, simply because the whole business has contracted. The whole arcade thing is closing up everywhere.
What do you believe are keys to running a successful pinball arcade, or route? Or let's say the route you had originally.
Well, it's real simple. It's the big sign I want to put on the wall here. This is a standard joke amongst the staff is, I want to get a giant banner that says, "It's the game, stupid." You know, people worry about, putting in a snack bar, or that the lighting is incorrect, or that the feng shui of the room is wrong because they're all in straight lines. They should be in a meandering path. And no, people don't come in here for art or an education. They come in here to play pinball, and if the games are clean and they work good, they spend more money. So it's just literally that simple. Make better games, make more money.
So if you have a game on route, keep it working. If you have a pinball arcade, stick to what you do. Don't try to deviate.
Well, don't try to deviate, and know your product. Test play it. Know the difference between a flipper that works and a flipper that doesn't. Change light bulbs. Keep the game clean. Don't be afraid to spend money on parts. I've heard of operators that say, well, if I need a part, I order it. I don't keep any parts in stock. I don't want to sink the money into keeping parts around. And I'm the opposite way. I go out and buy 100 plastic flipper bats, 100 coil stops, 100 of this, 100 of that, just so that when I need them, I can go over to a bin and grab it out of there and put it on the game. And also, when you're looking at a big bin full of 100, it kind of devalues the part in your mind. It's not like, well, I can't afford to spend that last flipper coil because then I won't have it anymore, so I'm not going to put it in. But if you got a whole box full of them, then you say, okay, that old one's going and this new one's going here. So, it's a psychology thing.
And what inspired you to move to Vegas?
I got out of the Pinball Pete's thing in East Lansing in 1990. I got sick of the violent video games. I got sick of the scumbag customers, the drunken college students, little hip-hop wannabes. I couldn't stand my customers and I couldn't stand my product. So I started figuring out what it would take to compile a huge collection of pinballs. My original goal was one of every Gottlieb game. And there's 384 different Gottlieb games. And I was already 46% of the way there when I started. So this is before the internet. I just spent a lot of money on long distance phone calls and drove all over the place and rounded up all kinds of pinball machines. And then I decided if I was going to open a pinball museum, I had to do it in a tourist town because I knew I wouldn't be able to survive on the locals. So it was New York, Los Angeles, Orlando, or Las Vegas. If I was starting now, I'd add Branson, Missouri. I didn't like New York. It was too expensive to get any kind of real estate because you have a certain 26 square feet per game, and that gets expensive in New York. Los Angeles was not affordable and pretty weird. This is 1990 before everything crashed. Orlando was good, but I didn't like the humidity. It doesn't do the games any good to be humid. And I came out to Vegas, and in 1990 it still had some small town charm to it, and real estate was incredibly inexpensive. And there's no state income tax, so the state of Nevada bought half my house by not paying income tax. And it was the kind of town that was conducive to amusements. Back in East Lansing, the city fathers hated pinball, they hated arcades, they hated everything that wasn't their narrow definition of what a university town should be. They did nothing but constantly harass us and tax us to death. And then I moved out to Las Vegas, and it was like, oh, you want to open a pinball arcade? You know, politicians said, sure, we'll help you in any way we can. You know, we like this idea. And, you know, I live in a older section of town, and there's, you know, people that have trapeze nets up in their backyard because they have to practice for their circus acts. And, you know, I was riding the bus one time next to a contortionist who was limbering up, you know, putting parts around like this, and I said, you know, this is a pretty cool happening place, you know, it's not Kansas anymore, Toto, so here I am with all the freaks and weirdos.
And the carnies.
Yeah, it's a carny mentality. I don't miss the taxes in Michigan. I don't miss the weather. I miss some of my friends, so, you know, I just decided to move out here, loaded all the games on trucks, drove them out here. Originally, I was setting stuff up in a big building in the backyard, about 10,000 square feet, something called the Hit Shed, where it was a big shed full of hit pinball machines. So then we started doing little get-togethers for me and my friends. The first one, I think we had 20 people and 12 machines. And this is even before the Hit Shed was built. It was just in the house. And that grew from there to the point where on the last fun night, it got so big we had to run it over 2 nights. We had to do it from 2 in the afternoon till midnight. The problem with Vegas is some people work weekends, other people work during the week, so you can't just say, come over this weekend. You have to have a weekend event and a weekday event. So we had probably about 350 to 400 people at the last fun night, and the fire marshal happened to come across it. And he said, if this was a commercial business, if this wasn't in your house, I'd shut you down right now. This is unsafe. And I told him, yeah, I kind of realized that. It was also losing the flavor of the original fun night, which was just me and my buddies. And I think the thing that changed it was when I started sending out invitations on the internet through the email, it was a lot easier for me because I didn't have to call 500 people on the telephone. I just pressed a button and it went out. But the problem then became that people invited other people, they forwarded it to other people, and I had 400 people, I only knew 5 or 10% of them, and there's kids wandering around taking keys out of doors, there's people stealing nickels from the bingo machines, people smoking dope inside. It just became, it wasn't any fun anymore. So I looked at Charlotte and I said, that's enough. So then I kept turning out a game a week. That was my goal between 1990 and when we opened the museum. So I would completely rebuild one game a week. And we had 300 or 400 of them in the hit shed ready to go. And I started getting a little antsy that it was kind of stupid to have all these games and not do anything with them. So we started looking around. First we formed a not-for-profit corporation, the Las Vegas Pinball Collectors Club, figuring that if I tried to make money at it, I'd lose my shirt because it would be too expensive. But if you take the not-for-profit route, you get a lot of things for free that normal businesses don't pay for.
So, like what? What for free?
You don't pay taxes for one thing.
Right.
You get a reduction in your electric bill. You don't pay permits. It's $70 per game per year.
Okay.
So 400 games, that's $28,000 a year.
Right.
You name it.
Okay.
Nobody gets paid here. We're all volunteer. Labor is your largest single and only controllable cost, so we eliminated that. Since the not-for-profit owns the building and we're the single sole use here, we don't pay property taxes. That'd be $20,000 a year. So, it adds up, and it also, my fear was that I was going to try to run it as a for-profit, and I would end up saying, well, I got to make some money this week. The rent's going up, my taxes are going up, electric bill's going up, so I'm going to take out some of this old stuff, and I'm going to put in new games, pool tables, dance machines, kung fu games, all that noise. And it's a slippery slope where you're just going to try one video game, and then pretty soon it's 2 or 3, and then 5 or 10. Pretty soon you're not a classic arcade anymore, you're just another Chuck E. Cheese. So we figured that it would keep it pure if we just did everything ass backwards, didn't try to make money, and just did. The guiding principle around here is always, what would you like as a player? Which games would you like in here to play? Not which game is going to make the most money, because then again, I'd have Keymaster, I'd have Dance Dance Revolution, I'd have Mortal Kombat 16 or whatever the hell they're doing now. And it just became it went back to me and my friends playing pinball. So we rented a space for 4 years, signed a 4-year lease, and you don't know scared until you have to put your name on a 4-year lease, because I had to guarantee the rent. The landlord didn't want anything to do with a not-for-profit. So signed up for a 4-year lease at what was then a reasonable price of $5,200 a month in a spot next to a movie theater. And it was up and down, but generally trending up. We ran into some hiccups. The neighborhood changed, a couple businesses closed, the Walmart across the street closed, and the theater next door closed 3 times on us. And anytime the theater closed, the income would take an immediate dip. So I got kind of sick of the landlord, who was a jerk. I got kind of sick of the situation with the last bunch of people that owned the theater. They were crackheads. They kept breaking into our space and stealing things, air conditioning parts. It was a constant crackhead circus. And I started looking at the $5,200 a month we were pissing down a rat hole. And I said, the landlord won't fix anything. There's giant chuck holes in the parking lot. I'm being stupid here. So we started a building fund, and we just kept socking money into the building fund. And then, just as the real estate thing started turning down, I said, well, maybe this is just going to be a temporary thing. Maybe now is the time to look at buying a building. We had a certain target price per square foot. We had a total budget that we wanted to spend. We were looking to get out for between $1 million and $2 million, basically. We looked at a building on Maryland Parkway. He wanted $2.2 million for it. I could have stretched a little bit and bought that one. It was an immense building. It was a city block long. It was 58,000 square feet, furniture store and warehouse. The back part of it was 3 stories tall, clear span. We could have put in an indoor roller coaster, anything. But that deal fell through, and we came across this space that we're in now. We used to be at 3330 East Tropicana. Now we're at 1610. The strip is 0, so we moved half again as close to the strip. It's almost to the inch twice as big as the space we were in next to the theater. Paid $1.2 million for it. Had to put in $300,000 to bring the building up to code. Replace the air conditioning, repave the parking lot, put in a sprinkler system. So we were basically in at $1.5 million. Since then, we've also just bought the lot next door. That cost us $311,000. So we're in for about $1.8 million, but we've got 3 acres of space here and a 9,000 square foot building. We've got all the parking we'll ever need. We got a big sign. We got a new modern building that meets all current codes, so they can't come in and say you got to, change the toilet. Your driveway's 2 feet too narrow. Basically, we front-loaded all the expenses that we could, saying we don't want to fix the old air conditioning. We're just going to replace it. We redid the floors, the walls, the electric. You name it, it's new in here.
So it's preventative maintenance and all in one.
Same theory we took with the games. We want it to be foolproof and reliable, so that's what we did. So we've been here 4 years now. We've given away $700,000 to $800,000 to local charities. Plus, we're now just in the next few weeks we'll be completely out of debt. So we've also got, like I say, $2 to $2.5 million in stranded capital, representing the land, the building, the improvements, and the new stern machines in front that the club actually owns. Change machines, things like that. So that's basically what we've accomplished in the 4 years down the street and 3 years here, so 7 years. So
and
that's where we're at.
And machines at the Riviera?
Right, we got a little satellite operation at the Riviera. We also still run the games at the theater down the street. We still sell video discs, although that's how to repair your pinball machine.
How do they get that? They email you, or?
It's at the website, pinballmuseum.org.
Okay.
But there have been no new numbers for like 10 years now. So that project is slowly fading. And I could see eventually everything else fading away and leaving us with just this. The theater is going to self-destruct at some point. Movie theaters are doomed. The Riviera, our contract is up in 3 years. I would take a serious look at whether it's still feasible to do that. And just concentrate. Now that the weight of the debt is off of us and everything's paid up and we're sailing kind of nice, it'd be nice to concentrate on this. That and business has more than doubled since we moved down here 3 years ago. So we're, in theory, starting to bump up against capacity constraints, particularly on Saturday afternoons. It's very busy in here, and at some point, people don't like it if the 5 machines they want to play are all being played.
Right.
So at some point, I should be worried more about the fact that this place is doing well and worry less about other things other than this.
And that's coming to pass, though.
I don't know what's going to happen. The economy could take a dip tomorrow. Business could fall by half. Anything could happen. I could get hit by a bus and the whole thing would stop. I've given up trying to plan. I'm now into this theory about amusement anarchy, where you can't plan fun. Fun finds its own level, and all you can do is just react to what your customers say is fun. Because I came across this theory when I went to see some horrible Batman movie, and I walked out of there thinking, you know, Time Warner sold me this turd, this $8 steaming load of shit, and they advertised it, they told me it was the greatest thing, and then I go in there and it's as bad as some 1950s Walt Disney movie. It's corny, it's overacted, it's just sensationalism. They're trying to program what people think is fun, and I just don't see that's going to work long term, because you can't, it's like pushing a string. You can't do it. You can't tell people this is the greatest movie, you have to go see it, and they have a test market and a perfect ad that gives you the exact 8 seconds you need to decide to buy a ticket, and then you go see it and you're disappointed. You're going to do that once or twice, and then you're going to say, to hell with it, I'll rent it from the Redbox machine when it comes out for $1. I'm not going to get fooled again. So I don't want to be in that boat. So I've kind of given up planning. I strip everything I can out of this equation. I'm trying to move more and more towards this, to strip it down to doing 1 or 2 things, doing them real well, and ignoring everything else. We don't have pizza, we don't have beer and wine, we don't have slot machines, we don't have live music. Every day some kid comes in here and says, oh wow man, you should have bands in here. And I go, no, if you want to go see bands, go to a bar. If you want to drink, go to a bar. If you want to gamble, go to a casino. You know, that's what they do. This is what we do. If you don't like it, don't buy it. And I don't know. I want to do 2 things. A place that's open to the public to play pinball 7 days a week. You don't have to worry about showing up at the door and we're not here. It's got to be reliable, it's got to be dependable, it's got to be open regular hours. Right. And 2, donating money to local social service charities. If it doesn't meet those 2 goals, I kind of ignore it. This place isn't fancy. I mean, the walls are just plain white. Everybody says, oh, you should have art exhibits in here. And you should have the history of pinball. You should have 3D dioramas. And I'm going, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to have flippers that flip, bumpers that bump, and a lot of money that we're going to give to help problems here, there, and everywhere. So that's kind of what we're stripping it down to.
And originally, before this was, born and created, you were working on it, and you're doing the videos that you were selling to fund it. You did many different things to fund it. Now you're past that stage. Now you're maintaining what you have and keeping it nice.
I'm much too Hollywood now to bother with the little shit. Yeah. I've moved uptown. So no, it's evolving, it's changing, and no, I don't have as much time as I used to do things like make video discs or write an article for the Pin Game Journal. I'm kind of down to being a full-time pin monkey.
And why is pinball important to you? And why do you believe it's important to keep it alive for the public?
Pinball is important to me because I've always enjoyed it. It's a beautiful device. The older ones were. Some of these new Stern games I just think are hideously ugly. They're bright, they're colorful, they make nice noises. It's a pleasure to be around them all day. I like them, apparently the public likes them, and unlike other forms of entertainment, you can't digitize it and put it down Time Warner's pipes and have it delivered to a box in your house. The only way you can play pinball is to leave your house, get up off your ass, off your couch, go to a public place like a bar or a restaurant or an arcade, and do something in a place where there's other people, not just you and your Xbox. So this is like what all the rock musicians say is killing music is the fact that people get too much of it at home, and there isn't the farm team, which was the bars where the bar bands started out. You know, people are too stuck up on this idea that they got to stay at home on their couch. So this gives them an excuse, particularly if they're coming to Vegas. They can, you know, say, well, I'm going to run over to the Pinball Hall of Fame, spend an afternoon there because I really like pinball and I've heard good things about it. And they come here and they like it, apparently.
So you're reintroducing people to the analog world, you know. Hey,
the world outside their house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a physical thing. The ball doesn't exist digitally, and you've got to come here to play it. I'd like to see one of these things in every town, different sized versions of this, and they're starting to form here, there, and everywhere with varying degrees of success. And I think it's something that should be encouraged. I've advised several people on things to avoid and things that you should consider if you're going to open one of these things. And it's starting to happen a little bit. And again, it's not like Hollywood and the entertainment industry where they're trying to feed you entertainment from the top down. The pinball thing seems to be happening from the ground up, where people are organically and without the help of any large corporations just discovering it themselves and putting it together themselves and rearranging it themselves, and they feel they're part of it. Problem?
Yeah, I got a problem with the game if you got a chance.
Which machine?
Spy Hunter.
What's the problem?
It's stuck where it keeps going, but you can't get anything.
Yep.
Take 3.
Yeah, it's all good. I can all just copy and paste them together. Yeah. So yeah, basically, this is introducing new people to pinball. I met kids here, reintroducing people to pinball, and then collectors and players from all around the world. I meet people from Dubai the other day. These tournament players that want me to take the glass off to because they don't know how to nudge a game, but they went to Pinburg.
We had a tournament here. One guy complained that there was a hair on the playfield. He wanted me to open the game up and take a hair off the playfield. So
it's pinball.
I don't spend too much time interacting with the customers. My job is to manage it as a business and to make sure that everything arrives on time, to make sure that the trains run on time and that the games are clean. Other than that, I feel it's more like an automat where you go in, put 2 nickels in a thing, open the door, and take out your piece of pie. Again, if you want tablecloth service, you're going to have to go to a restaurant. You're not going to get it here, not when I'm charging 25 cents for my product. There's some people that say, well, you should have docents that go around, and you should have a little history movie on each game. And I'm going, no, you're paying 25 cents.
No cover to get in here.
Right, no cover to get in, no admission. Over half our games are still a quarter. Yes, there are 50 and 75 cent games, but if you don't like the expensive new games that cost us $7,000 to buy.
Cost is relative, people.
Cost is relative. There's no free lunch. This is not North Korea or Cuba, but we still have a huge selection of very fine running. We're very proud of our older games. We're doing everything we can to keep them top-notch condition, and we're not gouging our customers. You know, you go on the strip, you pay $4 for a soda. Here you come and get soda for $1. We got quarter popcorn. It's the kind of place where after being on the strip and putting a $20 bill in a slot machine and losing it in 4 minutes, you come out here and you spend $20 in 3 hours. It's just, it's completely different. So yeah, my job isn't to talk to people. If you want a friend, this is what I told Clay. If you want a friend, get a dog. If you want flippers that work good, come to the Pinball Hall of Fame. And these people come up to me and they're so excited and they want to tell me about their game and they want to spend a half an hour telling me the story about how they used to put the games up on ashtrays, get the ball stuck, and run it up to 15 games when we were a kid. Oh, I got to tell you this story. And nothing personal, but I really don't have the time. And it's not just you. It's every single person that comes in here wants to bend my ear, and you've got a choice. You're either going to have good running games that a talented technician concentrates on fixing, or you're going to have yak, 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 and the games are going to run like shit.
Well, that's why barbershops and nail salons and psychiatrists exist, for talking.
Right.
It's an ear for $20 to $100 an hour, right?
Right. And you're not going to get tablecloth service at automat prices. It's not going to happen. So if you expect to come in here and tell me about some game you had as a kid, I might say hi to you. I'll tell you, yeah, that game was from 1973. It was low production. It wasn't very popular because of this reason. I'm not going to talk to you for a half an hour about it. I just can't. And speaking of which, we got to talk about Pinball Summer Camp.
What is Pinball Summer Camp?
Pinball Summer Camp is, this project has grown. Like I say, our traffic has almost doubled since we moved down the street. We're still all volunteer, and we're having trouble keeping up with just the help I get locally. So what I'm looking for is people that would come to Vegas, and it's like baseball fantasy camp or rock and roll fantasy camp. It's Pinball Summer Camp, where you will come and spend, I would like a minimum of 4 days to a week, up to 2 weeks, of you just fixing pinball machines. Now we have a completely furnished residence here, bathroom, shower, kitchen, bedroom, living room, real nice place, overlooks the park. It's nice and quiet, fully air conditioned in the summer, fully heated in the winter. You can come and stay here. The rules are you're here to fix games and you already know what you're doing. Some things that we're not looking for in Pinball Summer Campers are people that want to write a book. I don't want people who want to come in here. I think that the greatest innovation in pinball in the last 50 years was when the 3-inch flipper was replaced by the 8-inch flipper. And I think that I should compare this game to that game. And what do you think about that? I don't need that. I also, unfortunately, don't have time to teach people. People say, oh, you should run a summer camp where you teach people how to fix pinballs. And two problems with that is, what's in it for this organization if I give you a free education? Not much. And two, you're not going to learn in 5 days what took me 10,000 hours. It's the theory again about how you can be an expert in anything if you put 10,000 hours in. And the place to learn this stuff is in your garage with your games. Become good at it. If you want to come to Vegas and if you know what you're doing, you're more than welcome to come and help out. We're not going to pay you anything. It's an all-volunteer organization. We'll feed you, we'll take you out to dinner, we'll get you a I Survived Pinball Summer Camp shirt. But beyond that, the only thing you're going to take away from it is the experience of what this place is like. I'm sure you have changed a lot of your opinions being here for a few days.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
It's blown your mind.
Yeah, it's I've learned a few things.
And experienced pinball in a different way.
I've lived in an arcade for 6 days.
Yeah.
And
you get a whole different perspective being on this side of the counter.
Right. It's because it's one thing to work in an arcade, but basically when you volunteer here, you're living here, you're in it. You're not there. There really isn't a break. The break is the bathroom to maybe get a drink.
Right.
I mean, if you're really here for the camp. And Tim is here. He is the main tech. He is everything.
I'm always the first one in. I'm always the last one out. I'm not asking anyone to do anything I don't do.
Right.
There's no job in here that me and my wife don't do. from cleaning up shit that got smeared on the walls in the toilet to sorting garbage, sweeping floors, fixing games. It's a very level organization. There's very few chiefs and just a lot of Indians. So I don't feel bad asking people to come and spend their vacation time here and not get paid for it. Also keep in mind that your efforts here will aid local social service charities here in Las Vegas. You will be helping the housing problem, the drug rehab problem, the teenage prostitution problem, and the amounts of money that we've given away are substantial, and now that we're out of debt, they're going to be more substantial. So if you want to be a part of this, you're welcome, but only on those conditions. I don't want looky-loos, I don't want wannabes, and I don't want free riders. You're going to come in, you're going to work your ass off alongside our local volunteers. You're going to have some fun, a lot of monotony, but at your end of your vacation, you're going to have a different perspective on it. So that's what we're looking for.
And no matter how good of a tech you are, you'll learn something. There'll be games here you probably have not worked on.
Yeah.
This is the most impressive collection of pinball in the world.
There's every era from the 30s up till now. And don't worry, if you're just an EM guy, you can stay on the EMs. If you just like the dot panel games, you can do those. If you can fix monitors, I will bend down and bathe your feet. It's
recapping monitors,
video game controls, whatever your specialty is, you're welcome here. We've certainly got plenty of everything for you to fix.
Right, pretty much at all times something needs some form of attention. And I've seen that with the team here. I've been here 6 days, and everybody helps everybody, and it just,
yeah,
the more gears the merrier.
Right.
Getting things done.
So yeah, that's basically it. If you're a tourist, you're in Vegas, stop by and see the place. I keep telling people, just like I did at Fun Night, you really ought to get over here because someday it's going to be the last one. And sure enough, Fun Night ended. At some point, this might end. So get your ass over here and play some pinball. And if you want to be a summer camper, do that too. Did you have a problem?
There we go.
The Atlantis game, there's a